pretty much a one-man show. So I'm Kevin Proteau with Locals Supporting Locals for a segment of the Heartbeat of the Okanagan. And we're here with Nathen Cullen from the NDP party, and he held a very important presentation today in regards to the Northern Gateway pipeline. As well as he also touched into a number of other concerning issues such as Bill C-51. And we have the pleasure of being able to talk with Nathen here. And I have to say, Nathen, thank you very much, and I really enjoyed your talk.
Great.
Yeah, you don't come across as the most typical, and I like to break the word up, politicians.
Right,
you know,
right.
I can feel your heart there, and I can see that you've been at the, right at the ground roots with a lot of what's taking place, especially in Kitimat and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
What's talking to people here in our Okanagan here, what message would you like to get out in regards to the pipeline?
Well, I think all of us have a stake in what's going on in BC with these pipelines, whether it's Northern Gateway, the one that is going through my home, or Kinder Morgan that goes south to Vancouver. We all love the coast. You know, some people were confused why I would be in the interior of BC talking about the coast. But we're all connected to it. We all have friends and family there. We all like to be a part of it. And we also know how much the coast matters to us, that if we're not taking care of the coastal issues, then it's going to eventually come upstream and affect us. Someone once said, you know, we all live downstream from somebody.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's that on the straight pipeline, but it's also our politics, that right now they're not serving us real well, that it seems more and more the Conservatives take the West for granted. They make decisions that are counter to our interests and sort of think that, well, you know, BC is just not going to matter much. And the good news is that when we have an election this year in the fall, BC is going to be critical in deciding who's the next government. So why not take that power and have our voices heard? And so that's why I'm in Penticton and Kamloops and Kelowna and Vernon and all these places, is to say the power is there for us to have. What do we want to do with it? What do we want to say?
Well, here's one thing, like, and I have to admit, I kind of caught Alex off guard when I asked this question, because in regards to with these pipelines, Bill C-51, which is, I mean, we might as well go right back to the days of Germany and World War II here, with the laws that, you know, I mean, basically almost every citizen could be a terrorist here. There's 72 reasons on the terrorist list that can put you on there, and sadly, at the end of the day, if you're not on it, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well,
you know,
it's a crazy statement, because to be deemed to be a threat by your own government should mean that you're an actual threat to the people.
Yes. And
the idea that if you were opposing a bad mine or a project that was going to hurt your community or hurt your economy, which this one does for us, to then label somebody a terrorist and then give the police and the state the power to spy on you and tap your phone and hack your email,
arrest you, put you in jail for 7 days without even seeing
and have no judge involved at all. This is crazy. Like, this is gone, and you know what's gone bad for the Conservatives, when even the gun lobby doesn't like it, right? That the very, very conservative, generally speaking, gun lobby has said, we have a real problem with state rights and privacy on this issue, that we have a government that would give this much power over without any check on that power to the spy agency, to the police, is bad news. And I worry for the state of our country, because it really polarizes people and says, you know, your government's going to treat you like a criminal, when all you're doing is being a healthy democratic citizen, which is to engage in what's going on.
Well, yeah.
Why did that become illegal in Canada, and it shouldn't be?
Well, and I know I'm just meeting you for the first time here, but again, I've actually had Alex come and talk at our march against Monsanto. He's a big advocate against GMOs.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, and so we got it coming up here on May 23rd, and Locals Supporting Locals has been hosting our marches the past 2, and this will be number 3 here. So who's to say if I might get arrested?
Well, and for what? Or even the ability just to be spied on. I mean, the power that police have now with their tools to get into your phone, to read all your emails, to read all the emails of your friends and your family, I mean, those are extraordinary powers. They should only be granted when there's a real threat that's posed. And you can look at what's going on in the Middle East and the horrors that are going on with ISIL and ISIS. Absolutely, we got to act on some of those things. to use that threat as an excuse to spy on your own people just because they're oppose your agenda, oppose a particular project, that is the definition of abuse of power.
Well, I mean, and then there's, I mean, you got people out there that are really concerned when it does come to ISIL or ISIS, and you know, like, is this really just you know, propaganda used in order to create these laws like Bill C-51? You know, because
well,
I mean, there's some questions to some of the things that have taken place.
The argument the government's using is because Parliament Hill was attacked, that we need this law.
Yes, I know.
And
well, that law wouldn't have even protected him.
Well, the guy had, I mean, the guy, you know, he puts a video out and says, I was inspired by something I saw on TV, and then he got at Winchester and then ran up Parliament Hill and tried to really, I mean, killed a soldier. It's horrible. The idea that you then have to criminalize half your population is nuts.
For one nut bar, you know. And
well, it's you know, anyways, the using of an excuse like that, of an event like that, to then use that as an excuse to come back and erode our own rights as a country. Man, that's everything that our forefathers fought against.
Yeah.
And it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful, this government, and they won't change the bill. They just think that they're just going to ram this thing through. And I think, I've never seen a bill like this where not only the seriousness of it, but that people come up to me in airports, coffee shops, and they name the number of the bill. C-51, like, what do you, and I heard this and I heard that, and it's like, conservative people, middle of the road, left wing, it's just been breathtaking.
Well, it's actually uniting us as Canadians, actually, because actually Sean Buckley, the constitutional lawyer, he went across Canada, and he was bringing up Bill C-51 years ago, and also Bill C-6, which, or it was Bill C-36, or Bill C-6 to 36, and then it became the Consumer Product Safety Bill, and meanwhile it removed all powers for search, and our powers for them to search and seize. It had nothing to do with the product at the end of the day. You know, so C-51's been around for a long time, and now they finally came in, and it's like you said, it's an omnibus bill. It's just loaded.
I think they were, yeah, it seems like they were waiting to pop this thing and just needed the reason.
Yeah.
So, lone gunman attacks, Parliament Hill kills a soldier, there's their reason, they think the public. But I think the reaction back, you watch it steadily, because it's being polled every day. And you just, it's like the thing's going off a cliff. Similar to the expansion of the war in Iraq and Syria. That when you ask Canadians, with Canada being involved in this, does this make us safer? It's less than 15% of people think it's going to make us safer. Because it's not going to make us safer. You have to pull back from the government's argument sometimes and just put some light on it. You know, they say the best disinfectant is sunshine, right? And if you pull the covers off and it's free and you spotlight this, what is exposed? And with this government, I think they've just gotten kind of drunk on their own power and don't really believe that anyone's got something to say to check that.
Well, you know, and you said it too. There's how did you put it there? There's like a silver lining to this, or you know, I mean, again, like there's been a lot going wrong in our country for a long time here, and I think Bill C-51 might be the one to reunite Canadians here. You know, that have been divided, that think that, you know, it's all about party politics and I'm left, I'm right, and this and that. And it's just like, okay, let's look at the beast for what it is. And that's why, again, like why I started supporting locals, because I believe it, and you said it yourself too, the change comes right in your front yard, it comes in our community, and we got to come back to supporting one another.
The biggest lie told is that people don't have a voice that can make a difference. It's the biggest lie.
I hear that all the time.
Oh, sure, I don't matter. And it's a lie that's perpetuated by governments who don't want people paying attention and want to hold on to power. And that's why they say things like, you're a radical, you're an enemy of Canada, is to try to shut down that voice, to say, well, gosh, well then I probably shouldn't say anything or have that opinion. We gotta resist it, because the resistance, if you fall into that trap, then power just goes unchecked. And people can start like nice people. You give them total power.
Total power absolutely corrupts.
We've seen this movie before.
Yes, we have.
Right.
You know,
so
why are we repeating history again? Especially with the technologies we have.
It tells us we haven't learned the lesson.
I know.
So let's learn the lesson.
Yes, I agree. Just one more thing I wanted to touch on, because you talked about climate change, and I mean, this is one of the biggest controversies: the climate deniers. I believe that there is climate change. Do I believe it? It's you know, you and me in our community here? Absolutely not. Do I believe that it's our big corporations that are doing it? Absolutely. And like this carbon tax we got in BC, for example, I think it's absolute theft against we the people here because they're putting it on us, but meanwhile, these pipelines are going through, fracking's going through, they're getting subsidized, as you clearly pointed out, and we're getting taxed, and yet they're still being able to raid and cause all this damage.
I think people would be, I mean, my concern with it originally was, if you're gonna put the tax on the thing, then you should take that money and give people solutions. Cars where they don't consume as much gas, or helping them with their home heating bills. Like, if you're gonna hit me with the pain, give me the way out, right? Allow me a direction where I don't have to get taxed. Okay.
Yeah, but you could start a business, and people, why would our tax, how can our tax dollars go to, those tax dollars go towards coming up with solutions? Start the business and then purchase the products.
Right.
You know,
but your point, though, would it not applying equally to everybody? Like,
well, the tax should go to the business. Like, I don't know, I went to the Kelowna Film Festival, the World Film Festival last year.
yeah.
There was a documentary called Carbon Rush.
Okay.
And it's a woman from Montreal that did this documentary, and she went to all these third world countries where they create, they take a community, they fool them into selling them out like they're going to help them and everything else and make them prosperous. Right. And all of a sudden, they're all kicked out of the community, and they're growing asparagus, for example. Right. Now, what Shell does is they come in and they purchase all, you know, and it exposes the fraud of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm scared of happening.
But let's put it this way: that if we know carbon's an issue, that pricing it somehow so that we value it right from the top of the chain through the bottom, and then fund the solutions. We know it's better for the economy. We know clean energy produces more jobs and doesn't have the cost of the pollution and eventual climate impacts on the planet, which also costs you. If you've got more drought, if you've got more storms, you've got changing weather so that you can't grow what used to grow, that's all in the tens and hundreds of billions of dollars. Insurance companies are the biggest leaders on climate change because they're just watching their rates.
Well, here's a good question for you too, because it just happened here with Christy Clark and the Liberals here. Nestle,
right?
Millions of liters of water, and they're paying $2.28, not $2.28 million here. $2.28 for millions of liters of water that they get. Incredible. What can the federal government do to prevent
water taxation is very difficult for the feds to get at, but we do deal with exports.
How about protecting it?
Yeah, we can. There's some laws that we have that can protect water source, but we also can ban bulk water sales, and we've been doing that in Parliament a few times. We've raised motions and bills that will ban the government ability to sell bulk water, because that's where you get to a tipping point where suddenly you don't have water for your own people.
It's happened, like another great documentary, A World Without Water.
Yeah.
You know, what they've already done, and they're coming here and they spin everything, and they spend, like you said, millions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not on trying to help us, but on advertising to fool us so they can have these social... Yes, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, not at all. Thanks for being at the event.
Yes, okay.
Good luck.
Thanks, man.